Okay, hey everybody. It is Wednesday, July 23rd. This is the university slash academic working group for CHAOSS. I'm filling in for Matt, who has some things going on today, and also it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Matt, wherever you may be. Yeah, so I'm glad to be here. I'm Elizabeth. I guess I could change my name just in case. Elizabeth, there we go. Okay, the meeting minutes are in the chat if you need them. And if you would like to add your name to the agenda or to the attendee list, you are welcome to do so. You do not have to if you don't want to, but it's nice if you do want. And of course, as always, these meetings are under the CHAOSS Code of Conduct, so keep that in mind as you interact with us here today. Okay, let's get started. First on the agenda is this is the last meeting until September because we are taking off the month of August for a little break, a little breaky break from all CHAOSS meetings. So for this meeting in particular, there won't be any more until September. So enjoy the break. And I'm sure people will still be around on Slack if there's anything important or urgent that comes up, or if you want to just chat with somebody about a question or something, discussion topic. I'm sure there'll be people around off and on asynchronously. So there you go. I have not yet updated the calendar. I will do so once I confirm that all of the meetings are going to be canceled. I think there's two that want to keep going. So I just want to give a little space for that. So if you are subscribed to the calendar, they will be removed from your calendar automatically. So you don't have to worry about that. But if you have done a copy paste, you'll have to delete them yourself. So there you go. Anybody have questions on that before I go on? Nah, pretty straightforward, but you never know. Okay, the main thing that Matt was wanting to bring up is this expert guide, practitioner guide that you all have been working on. I think he's looking for some feedback on this. Have you all had a chance to read through this yet? Anybody?
Yep. A couple of weeks ago.
Okay. How do I get this off? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is not new to most of you then? Okay. I think he had some specific questions, a few notes from the guide that were not incorporated. Who is using it? In some cases, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Do we have thoughts on that? On who the audience for this is? Oh, David, if you're talking, you're on mute. Or if you're not talking, that's cool too. I didn't know if you were chewing or talking, actually. Maybe you're just eating some lunch.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I wasn't talking. I am eating some carrots and hummus. Sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm a little envious. That sounds yummy. Okay, so did we want to add anything to this section based on this comment? I'm not sure what to do with this.
I'm not sure what to do either. I did bring this up in a different working group I was in, that might be of interest to this part of the discussion. It was a tech transfer for universities, working group meeting, and they're coming at it from a different angle, but they're trying to measure open source software. I think it's often research software, but it can be broader, but maybe not. Maybe it's mostly research software. No, I guess it doesn't have to be. It could be like an engineering kind of thing. But how to transition it or translate it or, whatever, tech transfer it. And how to measure it to see where it's at. And so I pointed them to this as a bunch of some potential metrics that they could use to help evaluate the various levels of research software, to support their decisions on whether it should be, moved, supported, whatever, from a tech transfer perspective. But that was kind of vague, so I'm sorry, I don't really have any clear thoughts.
No, you're good.
My
Oh, go
thoughts,
ahead.
yeah, no, my thoughts would be that so one of the metrics um, that we have there, the output of metrics from software specific efforts is use, and I think that comment was made as okay, beyond just use, like, can we categorize who is using it? And I don't know how easy or difficult is that, because yeah, how do you get that information from? But I think it's quite, that will show the impact, like, right? Because if you say it's been used 10 times, it's not the same, but it's used, it's used by the UN in certain areas, or it's used by these countries to help, I don't know, calculating floods or whatever, right? So I think it's just more than a number, and maybe like a subcategory of use. But I don't know whether in CHAOSS we have measured these kind of things before.
That's a good question. I don't think we do. The only thing I can think of is some numbers around like how many people, but the context of like who those people are, I don't know. That would be really hard, I would think. I mean, I guess you could do a survey of your users, but that's not going to be great information. But I guess that's an idea. So I completely had misunderstood what this was about. This is like who's using your software, not this guide. So, yeah.
Well, yes, that's how I understood it. Like, who's using the
Yeah.
software, not the guide. Yeah.
Yeah. So, should we try to recommend a metric, a new metric that attempts to capture this information? It would be a hard
I don't know
metric.
how that works.
Yeah. I mean, we can certainly put one forward. The group, the program or the project as a whole doesn't super focus on metric development anymore. We're mostly focusing on how do we use those metrics. But that being said, occasionally there are needs for new metrics. So we can still put that forward. But we would do a lot of that development here in this group. So if that's something that we think is crucial to the guide and would be super helpful for people, we could like take a little side quest and try to sort out what that would look like.
Sure. I'm too new in CHAOSS to understand what is the recommendation of a metric implies and how.
How
Yeah.
would we get that? Yeah. I mean, it's not an easy problem to solve, I don't think. But we like to solve or work on hard problems here, so that's okay. So some of our metrics are things like burnout, right? Like that is not a number that you can get from GitHub. So what that metric is about is really defining what it is and why it's important and why we should care about it and how it can be helpful. And then we recommend for that metric in particular, there's a survey of questions. It's not on CHAOSS to do that survey. That would be just an idea for people. So I'm envisioning something similar to this, of where if you're going to survey your users, I mean, it would be hard, but not impossible to get some sort of idea of who these people are that are using. I imagine that would be helpful for a lot of things, not just who they are, but for trying to figure out features and, direction of the project, to have some kind of context as to who your users are, I think would be super helpful. I don't know.
Yeah, just imagine like documentation of the uh, project saying, tell us how you're using it or something like that, which would be very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question even CHAOSS can't answer, right? Like we think we know who uses the metrics based on the people who show up at the meetings, but we don't have hard data around who's using Augur, who's using Grimoire Lab. I mean, maybe Bitergia has a better handle on the Grimoire Lab side, but even any of the metrics, like we don't keep a list. We don't actually have access to that at all. So aside from again, these context working groups. So that's a question even CHAOSS can't answer for ourselves.
There was a gentleman at the UN conference who, I wish I could remember his name or the tool, so I shouldn't even be talking, but just to say that he claimed that he had a tool that could help answer this question. That's like out in the open and exists today, and you can say like who's using your open source project, or at least who's got dependencies on it.
Okay, that would be definitely a start. That would be super helpful.
But I don't know any of the details. It's kind of useless, so I'm only mentioning it to say I think there might be something that exists.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the dependencies, and if people have to declare them, now in their SBOMs and things, if that's like package managers and such have that information. I don't know.
Yeah, I think his tool either uses SBOMs or something, like has some way of scarfing all that information up so that it can then make a quantifiable like
Yeah, because that's a
number.
big deal in the EU now, isn't it? What's it called? The kind of not stewardship. Shucks, I can't believe I can't remember this. But where, you have to be very clear of what you're depending on, what they're depending on. The string goes by and it has to be all transparent and documented by law now. So, yeah, I guess a tool like that would be super helpful to at least, yeah, I don't know what kind of data they would have access to, but
I'll try to figure that. I'll try to find that information.
yeah, that would
out.
be great. That would be super helpful.
Okay.
I'll just put a note in here. Maybe, there we go. Okay, so that's not really an easy problem to solve, which is why it hasn't been incorporated in here, I guess. The second one is the citations. Yeah, that's another metric that's super hard. Because as far as I understand, and y'all are the experts here, I'm definitely not, but that is not a thing that is easy to get. How many times your software has been used or cited, any of your work has been cited, is that right? That's like a hard thing to find.
Yeah, I've seen it in OpenAlex, but I think it's more the problem that people don't cite when they should. And now there's like citation CFF in GitHub, and there's other
Yeah.
things that are supposed to make it easier, but people still just don't do it.
Don't use it, yeah. I think we even tried to push that from the CHAOSS side also, of incorporating that and encouraging people to incorporate that. And I don't think we had much success with that implementation from people. So it looks like we're going to have to develop some sort of metric around this as well, because we don't have one, I don't think, right now that exists. So that is also a blocker for us. I shouldn't say a blocker, but an obstacle that we will have to deal with if we want to push this guide out. And then this third one is the use. Downstream dependency, yeah. Oh, right. Okay, so this is kind of what we were talking about above a little bit. It seems like. Is this the kind of tool you were talking about actually, David? That looks more like this stuff?
Yeah, I think so. But I still don't know
Still don't know
where
what
that tool is,
yeah,
yeah.
that's fine.
Or if it's even truly available.
Yeah.
GitHub gives you those numbers in terms of libraries that uses you or depends on you, or you depend on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we have a metric on that specifically either. So at least not one. I know that we've talked about it a lot and may have had, bye Lance. We had a lot of ideas floating around on this. So there might be something started somewhere in a Google Docs somewhere on this, which I can try to find back in the archives somewhere. Let's see here. What do I want to dig around some of the older docs to see something.
Is this what you're referring to? I just put it in the chat. I'm actually confused because I feel like we already have something very similar,
Here.
a guide that was done a while ago.
Ooh. Yes. Okay. I think this was our attempt. Oh, whoa, hold on. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, so this is one of the metrics that is pretty ambiguous and is kind of more of a model, quite honestly. Because we don't actually give you any pointers. Like, yeah, you should measure the number of downstream dependencies, but we're not going to tell you how to do that. We're not going to give you any other information about how to do that. You're going to have to figure that out yourself. So I think this is a very old metric and one that this is what I was thinking of when I said we had talked about it and thought about it a lot, but I don't know. Like, how would you get number of preprints or journal articles referencing the software? Like, how would you get that?
I mean, I might be biased in astrophysics, but because we get a paper, like with the journal open source software or a different paper, essentially you count the citations of the paper, and that any of the journals, like that's the link that we have there for AstroPy and ADS. So that's the NASA data service that gives you a number, and if
Okay.
but I don't know whether that's like my background is astrophysics, so that's what I know, but I don't know whether in other domains those are linked in the same way. Like I suppose that if he says a paper, they will be counted in the same way, like a Scopus or what's the other one? I don't know, like one of those big aggregators, like or Google Scholar. I don't know, maybe even Google Scholar provides that things.
Okay.
So in terms of papers, I think that's easy because
Okay.
careers of many academics depends on that, and they have worked the way to make that count.
Okay.
But that requires a paper having either a DOI or a paper that is indexed by those search engines.
So I guess I'm also looking for more clarity on what is the difference between this and this.
Yeah. I didn't know that one. Does it so again, I'm new to the thing. So this expert guide and these metrics what is the extent of the thing? Like Matt has brought in there 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs. Is that the length that those things have, or is something to be more detailed?
Yeah,
Because
so
only
that's a really good question. This is actually the first expert one we're doing,
okay.
so who knows? I can show you, it's going off of these practitioner guides, which I can also link here. I'll put it in the chat so y'all can have that. These are more for folks who are just getting started and need a place to go. Like they just need to get off zero. So they're super high level, but we can just look at, so this one, demonstrating organizational value, that's the newest one we've just done. And it's actually a little bit more in detail than some of the others. Let's just look at contributor sustainability, because this is like pretty much how they usually go. There's usually like 3 metrics. There's steps. So you're going to identify trends. You're going to look at these metrics. You're going to see what's what. Those were the 3 metrics. And then you're going to take those 3 metrics together and figure out what's going on. Gather additional data if needed. Here's some other metrics you can use. And then here's what you can do about it. So that's really like the difference between this document and just a metric. Like this is pretty prescriptive and, offers a little more context around like why you would care, how you can use it, what to do with it. Additional
And
meeting
this
references. Yep.
and this expert guide will be similar to this practitioner guide. Like it will
I
be kind of that view.
I would suspect so. But again, this is
Okay.
kind of the first one we're doing, so we're really trying to solve a lot of problems here. We're like groundbreaking, so it can kind of be what we think it should be. The
Okay.
data science working group is the one that puts these together usually, so we would probably have, if I were going to guess, I would say we would have a draft put together and then kind of shove it over to them to have a look at, to make sure that it kind of makes sense and it's in alignment with the others. But so I think we're super early in this process right now. I think, I don't know how long this has been going on in these meetings, but it seems like it's pretty early. Like there's really not a ton of content here yet. So I think that's what,
Yeah, so it's expected to be longer than this. Okay.
yeah. And so like we would not just say, here are some metrics. We would give you charts and tell you how to, tell you a lot more about what to do with those metrics than say this, I guess. Oops. Then that, yeah, no. Wherever that metric went that I lost. Hold on. I don't know if that's making
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no,
yeah.
because he when last couple of weeks ago when he mentioned it, and I have in mind. So we recently in the UK we have a research software functionality call, and in our group we have like 20 different proposals. So one of the things I want to do is to look on, one of the questions was impact. I don't know what the funder were looking for impact, but at least I can kind of condense what the different groups were wanted to showcase as impact, and then see like how that can fit here, and see what is, or what is the most common use of demonstration of impact that different projects might have. But I don't know. I look at the document. I don't know if I take that information. I don't know where to put it.
Yeah.
um, because it says introduction, challenges, lesson learned, and conclusions. So so I don't know. I don't know how to. I know what I want to get from the submissions that we had, but I don't know where would that fit here.
Yeah. So those guides are mostly for people who are running a project. So you would be doing that as an introspective activity to look at the metrics from your own. So, but I think what I'm hearing you say is you were looking for just a set of metrics you could apply across to compare and contrast different.
Well, well, I was looking at what the people put in the proposal
Oh, sure,
to
sure.
see how they were demonstrating the impact. Because okay, somebody like, oh, I have 10 stars on GitHub, but others might say, oh, there may be no miserable things, but they have mentioned like, oh, we have 300 collaborators, or there is a lot of, I don't know. I want to see what they have, but if I get this information, I don't know, like that will be like in the metrics part, like because the top section doesn't seem like it's in a section. It seems like a set of 2 bullet lists that Matt put there of what is the metrics we will be looking into as a short list them. But then I don't know where there's any detail of how those metrics are used in the rest of the document, except in how to take action. But even yeah, don't know.
Yes, I totally understand what you're saying. And I think that, so in that regard, I don't know that this is the right guide for your purposes. This would be, I think, for a project trying to demonstrate their own software
Yeah.
impact. So I think what would be more helpful to you is like, okay, here's the metrics, here's data. What is the most impactful part of this? What should we be looking at the most, of who is the most, if you're trying to decide which of these proposals is the most impactful, for instance, like that, is that what you're trying to?
No, well, I mean, this guide, as I understood from Matt, it was like 4 people who are writing a grant, and for the reviewers who are evaluating those proposals, so that they can see, okay, those are the main metrics that I should take a look on to see the impact of this project, right? So, and because we have essentially many projects around me have tried to propose something as impact in their proposals, and I have access to all those proposals. I want to align the things and see, okay, what the people is using,
Yeah.
and then we can mention it here, like saying, okay, this is maybe software citation, or maybe it's the order, like, okay, people are giving more meaning to the stars than software citations, or
Yeah, the weights of them. Yeah.
yeah. So I want to, yeah, but I don't know if I collect the information, how to transfer here so people can then, well, I mean, suggest it here, because it might not be like straight away, but where that will go in this document. Like this
Yeah.
template is missing something for me, and I don't know exactly what will be the section named of that either.
To me, that is right. That is spot on with like evaluative teams is the audience, the second one. And that's what you're talking about. And to me, you're either talking about challenges or lessons learned
Okay.
and how to apply the metrics. Either it's a challenge because you haven't quite figured out a strategy yet that you're comfortable with, or it's a lesson learned because you're happy with what you're doing and you think it's worth sharing your process.
Could it also be under how to take action? Like what to do with these metrics and how
I mean,
you,
Yeah. Yeah, if
how to
it's
take
like an
action seems like an example. Yeah.
I think that's where you would put some examples. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. But I don't want to provide as a single example. Essentially, I want to provide like a meta metric of saying, okay, from 10 projects, 10 of them has provided the stars GitHub, but only one has how he's using other funding. So it's essentially it's like a stats, like a mini stats of that those projects that then can be used for other people to compare with. I don't know. Okay. I mean, that's one of my exercises for the summer, to play with those.
I think when we've been talking about this over the weeks and Claire brought this up, it's just so different from one discipline to the next, how to find the metrics and measure it. And You know, if a community is really small and you've built a tool that that community relies on, you know, that should be, how do you give that weight? Whereas, you know, you might have tons of stars or tons of users, but you are the 12th best or, you know, most used project and you know, in that domain. So it's, yeah, how it's a challenge. So I think examples, you know, from different disciplines would be really useful for people.
Okay.
Do we have that in here somewhere about the challenges?
I don't know if Matt captured it and wrote it. It was just something that Claire had said that we all kind of nodded.
Is that kind of what we're saying is like, it's very hard to just say, this thing is more important than that thing. So who cares about stars? Or you can count stars, but it doesn't really have that much impact. But that might not always be the case because it's so different. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way you wrote that.
But that's the, I feel like that would be actually the most helpful thing. Not just here's how to measure, but here's how much clout you should give to each one of these, you know, and that's just, yeah, extremely difficult to do. But yeah, so yeah, maybe the examples would be super helpful in that way to say, well, this is what we did. This is what we think, you know, this is why we gave this weight to that metric and count, you know, gave more power to another over a one that's nice to know, but isn't super indicative of true impact, like stars. It can be a proxy, I guess, but you know. Whereas something I think Matt up here had funding listed, external funding. I feel like that's pretty impactful for a university, right? If you're bringing in money to the university, like that's pretty impactful. So I feel like that would be maybe a good thing to know. But yeah, these are definitely not easy things to sort out. Yeah, okay. Well, if you all have thoughts and you want to put more things in here, you can do a couple of things. You can just write it in here, or you can do it as a suggestion if you're not sure if
Yeah.
you want it. So you can just click to suggest. And then when we come back in September, with fresh fresh eyes, fresh energy, we can maybe try to tackle some of these harder questions.
Or melt the brain depending on the heat.
Right on, right on. That's where I am today. There's heat warnings, advisories, everything else. I'm yes, in the very chilly, actually air conditioned. So I have I have a little hoodie on because it's actually very chilly in here. But you have to have it, you know, otherwise you're never going to catch up to the heat outside. So it's good.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, what do we want to do? Do we want to go ahead and end? I mean, we only have 10 minutes left anyway. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about on this or something else? Anything else?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we have a little homework. If we want to have homework and you want to work on it in the break, feel free, but it's okay if you don't.
Can't assign us homework in August.
That's true. That's true. Never mind. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. All right. Well, it was lovely to see you all. And I hope
Likewise.
you enjoy the month off, and we'll see you back here in September. Okay?
Thanks for
Yeah,
leading the
see you in
group,
September.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was good to see you all.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye bye.